This week, Donald Trump's criminal trial started in New York. This case involves an alleged hush money payment of $130,000 to porn star Stormy Daniels. Out of all the court cases against Trump, this one is already the most ridiculous. This is a criminal trial, which means that Donald Trump might go to jail. But when you're accused of a crime, the accusations need to be specific. So what specifically is Donald Trump being charged with in this case? He is being charged with 34 counts of falsifying business records. This all deals with a payment that was made to Stormy Daniels. Now, 34 counts seem like a lot. Basically, every single accounting record related to this payment is considered fraud. Writing a check was one count. Making the accounting entry is one count. So it's one payment to Stormy Daniels, but they're charging Donald Trump with 34 counts. But there is a twist. If we look at New York law 175.10, it requires intent to commit another crime. There has to be a second crime. Falsifying business records is normally a misdemeanor offense. What raises it to a criminal offense is if you falsify business records in order to commit another crime. So in this case, what is the other crime? The prosecutors have now revealed that the other crime was unlawfully promoting Donald Trump's candidacy for president of the United States. They claim that this payment to Stormy Daniels was for election fraud. There are a number of problems with this claim. First, the presidency is a federal office, not a New York office. They are charging him criminally under a New York law in a New York state court for breaking a federal law related to a federal election. They have no jurisdiction over this case. Not only that, federal agencies have looked into this case and decided not to prosecute Trump because there is no crime committed. Not only that, the election was in 2016. These accounting entries were made in 2017. How could an accounting entry made in 2017 be made with the intent to commit election fraud in 2016? That makes no logical sense. Without intent, it's not a crime. So basically, there's no legal basis for this case. Now, I'm not a lawyer, but many legal experts have come out with this same opinion. It's pretty well accepted that out of all the cases against Trump, this case in particular is the weakest case. To show you how weak this case is, let's walk through the timeline. I don't think most people actually know what happened. When you hear in the news that Trump paid hush money, most people think of Trump going to Stormy Daniels and saying, "Here's some money. You need to stay quiet." That's not what happened. Let me tell you what actually happened. Stormy Daniels is a porn star. She met with Donald Trump in 2006 because he was thinking of offering her a spot on The Apprentice. She never ended up getting the job. Then, years later, in 2016, after Donald Trump received the Republican nomination for president, Stormy Daniels just happens to show up asking for money. She approaches the National Enquirer and offers to sell them her story, claiming that she had an affair with Donald Trump. What strange timing that she would come forward at that exact moment. Donald Trump has always maintained that he never slept with Stormy Daniels. Let's keep this allegation in perspective. Donald Trump is married to Melania, who's a very beautiful woman. Stormy Daniels is a porn star. This is someone Donald Trump has described in his tweets as having a horse face. So if Donald Trump has the choice of whether to sleep with Melania Trump or Stormy Daniels, who do you think he's going to sleep with? The National Enquirer is owned by a media company called American Media Inc. The CEO at the time was someone named David Pecker. David Pecker bought the rights to Stormy Daniels' story for $150,000. That means that she cannot tell the story to anyone else. This is what the media is calling the hush money payment. Donald Trump was not involved in any of this. Then, after this agreement was created with Stormy Daniels, David Pecker contacts Michael Cohen, who he knows is Donald Trump's lawyer. David Pecker essentially blackmails Donald Trump and says that he's going to print this ridiculous story unless he gets paid $125,000. That deal was never finalized. Instead, Michael Cohen starts negotiating directly with Stormy Daniels' lawyer. They come up with a non-disclosure agreement where she will not tell her story for $130,000. The agreement is drafted with fake names. The name Peggy Peterson is used for Stormy Daniels. The name David Dennison is used for Donald Trump. The agreement was signed by Stormy Daniels, but never signed by Donald Trump. Then, Michael Cohen used his own money to pay Stormy Daniels. He took out a home equity line of credit and gave Stormy Daniels $130,000. So up to this point, Donald Trump has not been involved in any of this. Everything that has happened has been between the National Enquirer, Stormy Daniels, and Michael Cohen. Fast forward to the trial this week. The prosecution calls David Pecker as their first witness. When you try a case, you usually want to call your best witness first. They called David Pecker. He confirmed everything I have just explained. But more importantly, he explained that Donald Trump had no idea what was going on. Donald Trump was not part of this agreement. He wasn't involved in the negotiations. He did not sign the contract. He did not pay the money. David Pecker also confirmed that having non-disclosure agreements is something that he does as a normal part of business. He does these types of agreements all the time. A non-disclosure agreement is not a crime. If it were, why are we not locking up David Pecker? This is the star witness for the prosecution, and he is saying that Donald Trump has nothing to do with any of this. I'm sorry, but this case needs to be dismissed. The way the prosecution is trying to connect this to Donald Trump is by claiming that he later paid his lawyer, Michael Cohen. Michael Cohen was doing many different legal tasks for Trump's business, and Trump paid him a monthly retainer for legal services. The prosecution is claiming that these payments were really secret reimbursements of the money that Michael Cohen paid to Stormy Daniels. There's no agreement saying this is the case. That's just what the prosecution made up. For example, Michael Cohen invoiced Trump's business for legal services. Trump then paid the bill. Here's a copy of one of the checks. I don't understand what the prosecution is expecting here. What's the crime on this check? Does the prosecution expect Donald Trump to write on this check that part of this check covers a payment to Stormy Daniels? Why would he do that? What if Trump did not know that was part of the bill? If Michael Cohen did not itemize that on his invoice, how would Trump have known the dollar amount? If Michael Cohen did not create his invoice correctly, how is that Trump's fault? Shouldn't we be arresting Michael Cohen? Now remember that the prosecution is claiming that this check is election fraud. But look closely at the check. It's been paid from Donald Trump's personal bank account, not the campaign funds. The paperwork shows that this has nothing to do with the campaign. So let me see if I understand all of this. Michael Cohen invoiced Donald Trump for general legal services he was providing Trump's business. Michael Cohen was involved in some shady dealings. The prosecution's own witness confirms that Trump did not know about it and was not involved. Trump paid his lawyer's invoices, and now the prosecution is saying that some low-level accountant performed 34 accounting entries related to these checks, and now Trump should be sent to prison. It seems to me like there was no crime, and Trump was not involved in any of this anyway. It also seems like Donald Trump did everything right. Now let's talk about the judge in this case, Judge Juan Merchan. It turns out that he personally donated $15 to Joe Biden's campaign in 2020. I know that $15 does not seem like a lot, but it's unusual for a judge to give any campaign contributions because it shows that he's overtly political. Now he's overseeing this case against Trump, and he's given money directly to Trump's political opponent. How can he possibly be unbiased? If this judge is funding the opposition, he needs to recuse himself from this case. Not only that, the judge's daughter, Lauren Merchant, is the president of a political advocacy group called Authentic Campaigns, whose clients include the Biden-Harris campaign. Just so you understand, the judge's daughter makes millions of dollars working on campaigns against Donald Trump. Here's the website. On the website, it claims the company raised $562 million. This is a major financial incentive by the judge to convict Donald Trump. Not only that, the judge's wife worked for New York Attorney General Letitia James. The Epoch Times reported that they had reviewed records that show the wife, Laura Merchant, worked for 21 years as special assistant to the Attorney General, including 3 years under Letitia James. She changed jobs 2 years ago. That means the wife worked for Letitia James during the period that Letitia James was building her case against Donald Trump. Is it just me, or does this seem like corruption to anyone else? This is insane. I have never seen a judge more compromised than this judge. His wife is working against Donald Trump. His daughter is making millions of dollars campaigning against Donald Trump. This is the exact type of situation where a judge needs to recuse himself because he cannot possibly be impartial. When Trump's lawyers asked the judge to recuse himself, he refused, and he said that his daughter and his personal donations to Joe Biden did not require him to step aside. So the judge says that he's not biased, but his actions say otherwise. The judge has issued a sweeping gag order on Donald Trump. This is blatantly unconstitutional. Trump has the right to free speech. Donald Trump is running for president, and one of the key issues in the election is the weaponization of the justice system against political adversaries. He has a right to complain about his treatment in this case. What is the most confusing is that no one else involved in the case has a gag order other than Trump. So everyone else can make statements about Trump, but Trump cannot make statements about anyone else. How is that a fair trial? We also see the judge's bias when he demanded that Donald Trump miss his son Barron's graduation in order to attend court every day. The judge threatened that he would put Donald Trump in prison if he missed a day in court. Then shortly after, the judge ended one of the trial days early so an alternate juror could go see the dentist. This person can go to the dentist, but Donald Trump cannot go to his son's graduation? I'm sorry, but this judge is clearly biased. The prosecution does have something going for them. They do have Michael Cohen and Stormy Daniels willing to testify against Donald Trump. Both these people have come out very publicly against Trump. But if we look closer at what they're saying, are they really credible witnesses? Michael Cohen pled guilty to 8 criminal charges, including tax evasion, making false statements to a financial institution, and breaches of campaign finance laws. He also pled guilty to committing perjury. He was convicted of being a liar. Then we have the porn star Stormy Daniels. It turns out that she made a signed statement claiming the affair never happened. It says, "The fact of the matter is that each party to this alleged affair denied its existence in 2006, 2011, 2016, 2017, and again in 2018. I am not denying this affair because I was paid hush money, as has been reported in overseas-owned tabloids. I'm denying this affair because it never happened. So she not only denies the affair, she denies that she was paid any hush money. If the money was not paid for hush money, the prosecution has no case. This is a case over an affair that never happened and hush money that was never paid. Now, to be fair to Stormy Daniels, she now says that her written statement was a lie. She says that Michael Cohen forced her to release that statement. But either way, she's admitting she's a liar. She was either lying then or she's lying now. I don't know if we should believe her. Not only that, Stormy Daniels still owes Trump $300,000 in legal fees for filing a frivolous lawsuit. What's even more interesting is that the lawsuits against Trump by Stormy Daniels were brought by the lawyer Michael Avenatti. Michael Avenatti has now flipped and is working with Donald Trump's lawyers. Michael Avenatti is currently in jail serving a sentence on a separate incident because he was extorting money from Nike. He threatened to hold a press conference exposing corruption in basketball unless Nike paid him $22 million. Instead of paying Michael Avenatti the money, Nike turned him over to the police. Michael Avenatti has made comments in a recent statement that he feels like he was set up by the Democrat Party. He thinks that because of his rising profile in the Trump lawsuits, he was getting too popular, and Democrats used the Nike situation to take him down. In addition, Stormy Daniels ended up suing Michael Avenatti for stealing money from her book proceeds. Now he has to pay her $148,750. Whatever the reason, Michael Avenatti is now working against Stormy Daniels and cooperating with Donald Trump's lawyers. Remember that this is a criminal case. The prosecution has to prove that Donald Trump is guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. If the jury has doubts, they cannot convict. So if all the main witnesses to this crime have all been proven to be liars, I don't know about you, but I have some doubt. After looking at all of these facts, this is what it seems like to me. Michael Cohen, Stormy Daniels, and Michael Avenatti all sound like pretty horrible people. They're lying, they're scheming, they're filing frivolous lawsuits. It also sounds like whatever they're involved with has nothing to do with Donald Trump. But the biggest problem with this case is that the case is about non-disclosure agreements. The prosecution is calling this hush money, but it's really a non-disclosure agreement. There's nothing wrong with non-disclosure agreements. The prosecution is claiming that since Michael Cohen's invoice was for legal expenses and did not specifically label the payment as hush money, that it was engaging in fraud. But the point of hush money is that you would not label it. People pay hush money all the time. It's not a crime. I don't know if you remember, President Bill Clinton paid Paula Jones $850,000 to settle her claims of sexual harassment. I don't remember anyone getting upset about that. In general, if we think about this logically, it also makes no sense. Donald Trump is the CEO of a multi-billion-dollar company. Do you really think he's aware of some accounting entries that are being performed by some low-level accountant? He probably never even saw the invoices or the accounting entries that are the evidence in this case. How can that be the basis for a massive fraud when it's more likely Donald Trump probably never even knew about it? There's a bigger problem here than just this case. If Trump loses this case, it would set precedent in New York that signing a non-disclosure agreement is a crime. Every business I know of has non-disclosure agreements. This is a normal part of doing business. If this precedent is set, every business in the state of New York would have to shut down overnight, or else the CEOs could be sent to prison just like Donald Trump. This is the government saying that they can take whatever document they want, call it a crime, and send you to prison. As ridiculous and as biased as this trial is, Trump can still lose. He can still go to prison for this. The jury will decide if Trump is guilty, and the judge will determine the sentence. If Donald Trump is convicted, he could serve a prison term of 4 years, which means if Trump wins the presidency, he would spend his entire term as president in a New York prison cell. If we look at the other New York cases so far, it does not look good for Trump. A New York jury decided that Donald Trump did not rape E. Jean Carroll, but the jury still awarded her $83 million. Judge Engoron found Donald Trump guilty of manipulating his financials and penalized him $355 million. The way this is going, I would not be surprised if this judge is preparing to throw Donald Trump in jail, whether there's any evidence or not. We saw this play out this week. In the case, Donald Trump's lawyers wanted to issue a subpoena for Stormy Daniels and Michael Cohen as part of their defense. The judge denied their request. So the two main people this whole case is about, the judge will not allow the defense to subpoena them. How is the defense supposed to present their case? Will the jury only be allowed to hear the prosecution side? How is that fair? To me, this sounds like a two-tiered justice system. Keep in mind that in the entire history of the United States, this is the first criminal trial with a president. This has never happened before. If this is going to be a historic case, the evidence had better be pretty strong. But no, this is the most ridiculous case I have ever seen. The kangaroo courts in Soviet Russia were more fair than what is happening in this case. With the direction this is all going, it seems to me like Donald Trump is completely innocent, but the Democrats are still going to throw him in prison to keep him from running for president. Of course, most people believe that Donald Trump can overturn this entire trial on appeal. However, he might have to fight his appeal from a prison cell. Now I want to hear from you. Do you think the criminal case against Donald Trump is fair? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you like this video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on future videos. I have another update that is pretty shocking. Last week, my video was demonetized again. That makes 2 videos in the last month. I have no idea why YouTube wanted to suppress the video last week, but this is becoming pretty difficult. My videos are getting demonetized and I have no idea why. Apparently, people don't like when I come on here and speak the truth. I just want to say thank you to everyone who has signed up for a membership to support the channel. You help me to survive when these things happen. If you're interested in becoming a member, you can sign up for $6 a month on my website, wolvesandfinance.com. I'm Zach from Wolves and Finance. Thank you for watching.